In 4.9 and 4.10, we're doing the traditional method, so we're regrouping and placing a first digit. I'm going to show you two ways. This is the traditional method. This is a little modified version. The only difference here is I'm going to spread out my numbers, and I'm going to draw some lines going after each digit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my first number. So I'm thinking, how many times does 2 go into 3? Now we talked a lot about how this is a lot like repeated subtraction. I'll write it here so you can see it. With repeated subtraction, we're saying, okay, 2 goes into 354, how many times? Now we're just saying 2 goes into 3, and I know that this is in my hundreds place. Well, I know that 2 goes into 1 time, or 2 goes into 3 one time. And we're going to remember divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. So I've divided. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 2 gets me that 2. Here, I would have hopefully said I can take out 200, so that's 100 groups. This one is in my hundreds spot. That represents the 100. Now I'm going to subtract. Instead of subtracting this whole thing here, I'm just going to do that first digit. 3 minus 2 is 1. I'll still get that 154. Now I'm going to bring down my next digits. So now I'm going to repeat. 15 divided by 2 is what? Or how many times can 2 go into 15? Here, hopefully, they would think, okay, I can do 70, and that's 140. Well, I know 15 divided by 2, 7. I'll have a remainder. Multiply, 7 times 2 is 14. That's where we see those numbers. We're just kind of taking off. We remember our place value. I subtract. We'll see those are the same. Now I bring down my next digit. We see that these are the same. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Hopefully we would see that 7 groups. Multiply, 7 times 2 is 14. Now I don't have any other numbers to bring down, so I am done. Now here's 177. You can see 100 plus 70 plus 7 would give me that 177. Now the only difference between these two ways is I'm going to do the same thing. 3 divided by 2 gets me 1. 1 times 2 is 2. I subtract. Get my 1 here. I'm going to bring it up here. So now we see the 15 represented like this. Do the same thing. 15 divided by 2 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. There's my 14. I subtract. Bring that digit over. There's my 14. 2 times 7 gets me that 14. I'm done. For some kids, it's just easier to see it this way. They get confused with all the bringing down. And just for some of them, it really clicks. But either way is fine. You're doing the traditional method. One more example. Sometimes, so we talk about putting our finger over and just looking at that first number. Sometimes that first number inside of our division problem is smaller than our divisor. So we need to move over one. We would talk about, okay, if I have 700 or 700s blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't divide these into 9 groups. I could break them into each 10 strips and then divide. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're going to move over one. And we're going to say, okay, 78 tens. I know I can do 78 divided by 9. I know that that can be divided at least once. So I'm going to think 9 times what gets me close to 78. I know that 9 times 8 gets me 72. So I did my division. I multiplied. I'm going to subtract. I bring down. Then I repeat. I know I could do 9 times, well, 9 times 7 is 63. That's too much, so I'm going to do 9 times 6. 6 times 9 gets me 54. It'll give me 7. I don't have anything else to bring down, so I have a remainder of 7. We can also check this by doing 86 times 9. So I'm going to take my quotient, multiply it, and I'm going to add back in this. I should get my original number.